A very good morning to you. I am Yori Folari alongside Asukwo James.
Good morning.
Indeed.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Indeed. And we're continuing, quite frankly, with the serious business we started yesterday, talking about the security, because the president had held yet another security meeting. Maybe this is beginning to, well, one shouldn't really construct it like that. It's always been a primary concern of this administration, but it's like it's now underlining it. If we're having two top-level security meetings in as many days, that begins to suggest to you how important it is. Let's, without wasting too much time, let's start off with a Tire Models report. Tire Models are Abuja Bureau Chief.
It is the second expanded National Security Council meeting for the week, this time involving all governors. But this is a virtual meeting. The meeting of the day before, involving the Northeast Governors Forum, had harped on the need to make communities safe for farmers to return in order to reduce poverty and hunger.
Told Mr. President that there is a need for the Nigerian government to address the root causes of the insurgency, which are not limited to endemic poverty, hunger, among others.
Reflections are not so different at this meeting, where governors identify poverty and youth unemployment at the root of nationwide security challenges and the need for all tiers of government to address this. Field commanders are to take extra measures to protect civilian communities, to serve as a confidence-building mechanism between the military and those communities towards ensuring improvement in intelligence gathering and sharing. The 3-hour meeting was coordinated by President Buhari, who dispelled commonly held assumptions that terrorists in the Northeast had far more weapons and money than government. He described what is left of the terrorists as mere scavengers, desperate for food, raiding shops and markets and killing innocent persons in the process. But he queried the service chiefs over how bandits and terrorists continue to have access to small arms and weapons, despite the fact that the borders with neighboring countries had been shut, and urged an improvement in intelligence gathering. President Buhari also expressed satisfaction with the level of support from neighboring countries in the war against terrorism. In their submissions, the governors pointed out the problem of coordination among military and security chiefs. They also urged the president to consider a bailout on security for states, in view of the enormity of the resources they now expend in the support of the military and the police. Tai Amudu, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, so there we have it, Asukwa, top-level business. Among other things, the Commander-in-Chief is wondering how it is that the insurgents, are able, they don't run out of arms, So it's just one of the issues, but probably showing the intricacy of this particular project. Many of us think it's a simple project. I have even said that I'm not too sure what the orders are, placing my complete faith on the Nigerian military. But apparently it's much more complex than that. It's not as simple as that. And people have even said that the orders are not in any doubt, or they're not unclear. But so why haven't we made any headway? Maybe these are the kind of questions that, maybe that's why it required an expanded Security Council meeting.
Yes, exactly. If you look at it from the perspective that the Commander-in-Chief is bringing, it seems the thing is virtually everywhere in the country. There's nowhere, especially in the north, that is you can say that is really, really safe. Maybe apart from maybe the federal capital and maybe some other states, And so the president was really worried that the killings, the kidnappings has been going on without any solution. And apart from that, even the notice that there was a time, the federal government said that Boko Haram has been defeated, but they still come out and they still attack, including the governor that was even attacked in Borno, recently.
Yeah.
So, and that one was between the altercation between the governor and the military, whether it was them or it was not them. It shows that the place is not really safe like that.
And it's beginning to cast some sort of a credibility issue on spokesmen from government who will tell us that, look, they're on the back foot.
Exactly.
Apparently not. But in any case, we have an expert, a security consultant, former Deputy Director SSS, retired, and Mr. Dennis Amakre, MON. He's on Skype, and he's joining us. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Yori. How are you today?
Great, thank you. Great, great. Clearly, it is important. The security is important to the administration. But we've had so much of talks, plannings, meetings, summits, indeed promises, reassurances that Boko Haram, for instance, is on the back foot, and here we are holding the second high-level security meeting, really indicating that the problem is not going away. What's your read of what the challenge is?
Well, I think we are handling this thing on the media, so to say, because when somebody came out from the government to say that Boko Haram has been technically defeated, you know, we later come to realize that it was not technically defeated at all. And, well, they have been decimated, that is true, and they try to confine them to a particular area of the country. But these same guys have been able to infiltrate into Nigeria. All these names you are hearing, bandits, this and that, all of them are part of Boko Haram. ISWAP is there. That's another terrorist group which is operating around the Niger-Chad area. And then, of course, we have those elements of Al-Qaeda that the commander of AFRICOM, Commander General Anderson, was mentioning, which are moving from the Malian Sahel into the West African sub-region. So all these things are there. We are being faced with all kinds of, and you see, I don't like a situation where the military have to come to the press to be defending themselves. Let the military be busy doing their job. Don't come and defend it. Even the spokesmen, sometimes the spokesmen will come out and say something else, because like when Anderson said that there is an Al-Qaeda movement trying to get into Africa, West Africa, he said that, no, that's old news. You know, you don't say things like that. Those are your strategic partners. You know, and those are partners that will tell you things. Instead, you take what they said and use it.
Well, you know, the point was made that when we require their assistance, they're being uppity, being uncooperative. Now you're going to suddenly start helping us with intelligence?
They have a problem with the past government. And that was in case because of certain policies by the United States. And they were not happy that Nigeria was against gay people and all those guys. You see, these are their national interests they are pursuing. But that government is gone now. And right now, they've agreed to, you know, in the President Buhari's government, he has gone to Washington, talked with President Trump, and they are going to sell us some Tucanos.
Okay.
Some Tucanos, which we're expecting, they should arrive anytime from now, because we paid for them 2 years ago. You know, and so they are cooperating with us again. AFRICOM is here. They are not going anywhere. They are in Africa, the African Command of the U.S. Army. They are around and they are helping different countries. When it comes to terrorism, you cannot discount any country, because it is a fight that all countries put their hands together to fight.
Okay, okay. Dennis, could you briefly explain? Nigerians were regaled with, I think it was the president of Niger that, you know, as it were, quote unquote, took care of Boko Haram within a week or fortnight. I forget. Chad, I beg your pardon. Chad. That apparently took care of Chad within a week or two. How was that possible, even though the Nigerian army has spoken about it? But the point is, the guy seemed to, have, stopped them in their tracks and was even saying some uncomplimentary things about us in terms of, well, make sure you don't hand them over to Nigerians because they're going to let them loose, or all that kind of very hazy area. What's your read again of that against the backdrop of all that you have said, that we are trying our best, as the president himself has said, but so far no results?
It shows that there is some kind of disconnect when it comes to leadership of the military joint task force. There is a little disconnect. And I think we Nigerians, we always want to, we believe that because we are the big brother, we are supposed to be the commander. It does not always work like that. You go to certain war theaters, and even when the United States is there, they can ask somebody who is from New Zealand to take over as the commander. So it's not necessarily a situation where they are more serious than us. He must have gone to win a battle, but he has not won the war. Because, yes, you went there and dealt with them in Chad, but Chad is still on. Chad is not calm now because you went there. So these are two things that we have to realize. But there should be the leadership synergy where we are working with the leaders, and in this kind of situation, it's cooperation and not a show of force. So I think our military should know that and deal with that.
So I want to ask, how volatile is Lake Chad that we cannot finish the battle or finish off these terrorists?
Lake Chad is just a lake, but it has a lot of highlands, and those highlands, are pockets where these militants are hanging around. So it's a very difficult place. The terrain is bad, so that you cannot just drive an armored car through. So these are the little problems that they face in that area.
Maybe you remember that when Governor Zulum's entourage was unfortunately attacked, and he was shocked because this was after he had relied on the military, and they had told him that it was clear. Whereupon he said, okay, let's go. And then for his entourage to be accosted like that, in his exasperation, he had said, among other things, that this was reeking of sabotage, that he just, how much store would you put on such comments coming from such an important person in government?
Yes, there could be sabotage, but that attack also underscores the situation where you find out that we are not synergizing, because if you are having a VIP movement of that nature, number one, it's supposed to be incognito. Sometimes, remember when the United States was fighting Afghanistani soldiers there, the president will visit Afghanistan in the night, and nobody knows. The next thing, boom, he's there, and then the next one is out.
Okay.
You just see where he's talking to them.
Okay.
So our own, we broadcast it, and remember, this is a war, and in war, there are double agents, there are informants. If we overlook it and say, oh, it's Boko Haram, they don't know anything, that's a lie. Because definitely, they are very good. They've been able to manipulate social media in running their publicity. That's why every time you hear that, oh, Boko Haram has killed 15, Boko Haram has done this and that, because they know how to use the social media.
Okay.
So I think, yes, the governor is what. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, let's pause and listen to Governor Zulum when he met with the Chief of Air Staff, as it were, to, tell him some intelligence or information that was at his disposal.
It is his first formal visit to the Nigerian Air Force headquarters, Abuja, and Governor of Borno State is resolute on his demands.
for us to support the return of people to their original homes so that they can earn the means of livelihood by themselves.
He is even more precise in identifying locations he calls the new headquarters of insurgents on the shores of the Lake Chad.
Areas in Marche local government, in Kuka local government, in Guzamala local government, in Abadama local government, Bama local government, and to some certain extent, the Sambisa region, Tikwa, Mafa, among others. We are calling upon you, like Oliver Twist, to again continue with your good works by hitting the enclaves. Your Excellency, sir.
The Air Chief is emphatic. New equipment are coming in for the Air Force and its operations will be taken a notch higher.
Because we are expecting unmanned combat aerial vehicles that will be deployed in Gombe. And from Gombe, it will cover not only Gombe State, but it will cover part of Bauchi State, as well as Borno State. The total area of Borno State will be covered.
The Nigerian military is under intense pressure to scale up its operations against insurgents and other threats bedeviling the country. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, so listening to the governor there and indeed the response from the Chief of Air Staff. Dennis, how one understands that the whole military, the Nigerian military, works together as one integrated package, but how crucial, as it were, is the Nigerian Air Force in this war against insurgents, bandits, terrorists, whatever you want to call them?
Well, the Nigerian Air Force is a game changer when it comes to an asymmetric war like this, where we don't have a uniformed army, but we can see their movements, you know. And of course, some of the new equipment they are going to get, some of those helicopters could see in the night. And that's another game changer, because you don't have to wait until daybreak before you start looking for them. So the Air Force itself is, you know, tactically ready, and I think they should be able to change the tone of this game, because you don't fight this kind of war only by foot. That is the foot soldiers. And then of course Navy is not far, is far away from this theater here. So it is an Air Force and Army thing. Now, if there's a very good synergy among them, and somebody comes to say, hey, we saw some movement on the part of the governor that is going to take, could you check it out? And they will go immediately and check it out. Now, they have to work together for this to work. Because if such an intelligence comes in, it's an actionable intelligence. Actionable in the sense that the response time should be less than 5 or 10 minutes. And they should take off immediately, check the area, and if they see them, they can, you know, destabilize them before the governor can come. But if he just goes in there and nobody knows what is happening, and when he's attacked, he's a civilian, he will now try to lay claims to other things. Oh, maybe it's soldiers because they knew I was traveling, or it's Boko Haram, or etc., etc.
You were speaking earlier about the social media having been co-opted into this war, especially by the terrorists. They are using it for their propaganda. You no doubt might have seen something that sort of went viral on social media, something about a scholar actually alleging that there were governors, or one of the governors in the north was actually...
I think he's a former CBN.
Yes, yes,
deputy governor,
former deputy governor of CBN and presidential candidate of ADC in the last election. He's a scholar. His name eludes me now, but you might have heard about it, where he asserted that. And I'm talking about this from the point of view of the sabotage we're talking about. How much stock would one place on those kind of utterances, since this fellow is an Oxford graduate, he's a former CBN governor, so you'd imagine, and he was saying that it was the intelligence available to him. Is there an avenue for civilians, as it were, to share such intelligence with the professionals?
No, you know, people can have their own intelligence. They can pay for it. Private investigators can go and get them intelligence, or they can get from friends and stuff like that. But sometimes such intelligence are not credible because they've not gone through the processing. Maybe it's just an information. You know, there's a difference between information and intelligence.
Okay.
You know, information is raw, and it is the processed information that gives you intelligence. And the timeliness of that intelligence will make it actionable. And what security agents dish out to their customers or to the consumer, you know, is actionable intelligence. And these are not just got on the streets or in the beer parlor where you heard something. Somebody saying, oh, the guns the terrorists are carrying are better than the ones the Nigerian government military has.
Or that the governor is actually a leader of Boko, a commander of Boko Haram.
Right. So, you know, there are allegations like that. What I expect somebody like that to do is to go to the security agencies, go to the DSS, tell them, give them the facts and details of what you have, than going to the press.
Okay.
Because if you go to the press,
so they can verify. They have the methodology with which to verify.
They have the methodology to verify that kind of information, to know whether it's credible information or it's not credible information, okay, or whether it's A1 information or is B2 information.
I see.
You know, because
one moment, Dennis. Excuse me. Sorry for interrupting you, Dennis. A caller has come in. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to your colleague there.
Yeah, good morning. Azikwe.
Uncle Yori, there's something I heard in the conversation that the foreign helpers, particularly America, wasn't willing to help us because of the leadership they had at that time. I have my doubts about that claim. You remember, Uncle Yori, when the Chibok death issue happened, immediately both America and some European countries came here, and they wanted to help us to rescue those deaths and deal with these terrorists. But what happened? They were not allowed. So if you were in their shoes, would you still come and be trying to help the people you went to who didn't want you to help them? When
but the point was made that was in the previous administration, and that this is a fresh administration, and so it should be, things should have returned to new.
It is the same war, Uncle Yori, and it is the same country. Administrations may change, but
policies,
the war remains.
Policies and attitudes. Policies and attitudes might also change, Mr. George. Would you agree?
Well, that is true, but what I'm saying is that we shouldn't apportion blames where they did not exist.
All right.
The issue, what I want to suggest, Uncle Yori, as this war, the way it is going, whether the equipment we ordered, whether they come or not, it has assumed a proportion, this war has assumed a proportion that we need people to help us from outside. Let us not shy away from it. If you have ISIS, ISWAP, and all the terrorist, international terrorist organizations now operating here with Boko Haram, it has become imperative that we seek for help.
Okay,
we
Mr.
can't
George.
use our local resources alone to deal with what is troubling us here now.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Let me put that question to Mr. Dennis Amakre. Dennis, can we actually take care of our own business ourselves?
No, not in this kind of war. Even the United States, which is a world power, the number one world power, seek for help when it comes to fighting terrorism. You know, and what is happening right now is the Nigerian situation now is that they are positively looking at this present government right now. So they are ready to sell things to us. Although the caller does not accept that, but I don't think he has all the information. Okay. You know, but I'm telling him that that's what is going on.
Indeed.
Yes.
Let me bring in Mr. Yakub from Dokwemu. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, very good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
And then good morning to your resource person on the other side.
You see, including me and Mr. John and some other love of this program, some of us that support this present government, we support them based on belief that this war is going to be finished in a short time. And then I think this one is now longer than what we expected. But having said that, I want to put a question to your resource person, because some of us believe that our service shifts, for me, they are overstayed. And then the question now is this: some of us that believe that they need to be changing them. The question I want to ask is that your resource person to tell us that changing of this service chief, is it going to solve our problem?
Okay.
And then based on that, the Tucano, this thing that we pay for, I believe by now they should be able to supply us so that we can be able to see how far we go, and then we need external help as well. There's no doubt about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I assume that by resource person you mean our guest,
Yes,
Mr. Dennis Amakri. So Dennis, well, you heard his question.
So yes, number one, the Tucanos are on their way. The Chief of Air Staff already said it, that they are on their way, so we expect them to come in. What's the other first part of his question? Please remind.
Well, you know, I think you said it, and but I wanted to also add a follow-up. You know, in prosecuting this war against all these bandits, terrorists, you know, jihadists, and all of these people, we've heard that. Especially in the northeast, the complication that Boko Haram, that maybe we can't treat them like an external enemy. So I wanted to ask in that context, these equipment that we are getting in, would they have, first of all, if you accept that premise, the first premise I made, would they have the ability for surgical, as it were, capabilities, so that you can take out the enemies, minimizing collateral damage? Because we on the streets, bloody civilians, we seem to understand that, look, if the Air Force, for instance, were to deploy the firepower at its disposal, the problem is it might take out an entire village, whereas it's only a few people that are the enemy. Would the equipment that we're getting, would they be helpful in this regard?
Definitely. You can Google the Tucano helicopters and see the capabilities of that particular equipment. You know, it is an equipment that is able to pinpoint, both in daylight and in night time, pinpoint and take out a target, you know, that they are going for.
Okay.
So it is not a matter of... there might be, when you are in a war situation, some of the terrorists will want to use human shield, okay? So you might have collateral damage, but it will be minimized. And that's the capability of this new equipment we are trying to get.
Okay. Our last caller on this particular subject, Mazi Okorafo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guest, Mr. Dennis Amakri. Now, I want to find out, Mr. Dennis, the delay of the ammunition from the outside country is dangerous to Nigeria, looking at what Nigerians are facing. Now, I want to find out from Mr. Dennis Amakri. Sir, how do you look at what the Air Force Oga said now? Now, do they have trained staff on ground to handle that ammunition? As you said, what the Air Force Oga said, that they are waiting for the mission. Now, you saw what happened during ECOMOC and AFRIMA. Can the Nigerian government borrow a leave, bring those people at ECOMOC and add together the knowledge with the AFRIMA in order to tackle this fight? Because, look, let me tell you, I witnessed civil war, although I was small in the primary school. The only thing that made the opposition party was that they were using aircraft.
Okay, Mazi, I've got to interrupt you. Mazi, I've got to interrupt you. I beg your pardon for doing so, but we're fast running out of time. I want to leave a few seconds for Mr. Makri to respond to your observation.
Yes, it does not work like that. It does not work like that. You don't go and bring people from ECOWAS to come and operate Tucano aircraft. Now, what happens when you buy military hardware is this. Whether you're buying a warship or you're buying a helicopter fighter, you will as you bought it, there will be the training component in that sales. So you are having people, you remember the girl that just died now?
The young flying officer.
Yes.
Yes.
They train with the aircraft. So by the time it comes here, they come with it. You know, they don't bring it and keep it.
Flying officer to Lulokwe.
Exactly. You know, they train with the aircraft and then come with it and then use it. So there is no gap in there. For those Tucanos, I'm very, very sure the pilots that are going to use them are over there training in that aircraft.
Okay.
And they will come with it. That's how it works.
Well, Dennis, I want to thank you very much for making time for us this morning. Thank you very much. And Mr. Dennis Amakri there, he's been with us from the top of the program, former Deputy Director, SSS and Security Consultant, Dennis Amakri, MON. Okay, so stay with us, please. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And now, good news to a lot of Nigerians at home and abroad for different reasons. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, I guess, is sort of gearing up to sort of reopen following the minister's statement that shortly Nigeria airspace will be open.
Soon.
Shortly. Soon. So, you know, because Nigerians are incurable optimists, even though it's soon, people have begun to project September. Somewhere in September,
yes.
But no definite date has been given. But that our airspace will be open soon, and so the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria is indeed going to be gearing up and preparing. It's like we did the domestic side first,
yes, right,
and you know, now to prepare. I don't know. We'll be speaking later on. We're working on it. We'll be speaking with Chuks Wellimore. Mr. Wellimore is an aviation journalist. In fact, I hear that Chuks is with us as we speak. Good morning, Chuks.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you very much for making time for us. We're going to be speaking with you later, but let's start off with a package by R. Lillian Eze Mark on the impending opening of the Nigerian airspace for international travel.
The stretch of road leading to Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, still not as busy as it used to. But on getting to the departures, it came alive with the evacuation of some Chinese nationals. We also noticed some developments in keeping with the federal government's order to start preparations for the reopening of the airspace for international flight operations. As Nigeria prepares to throw its airspace open and reunite with the rest of the world, Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos is being prepared to embrace the new normal. It's only when work is done that full flight and airport operations will start. Other developments inside the terminal include floor markings for social distancing, shields at airline counters to forestall their staff having close contacts with passengers, all in line with COVID-19 protocols. International Air Transport Association estimates that global airlines' losses have risen to $314 billion, owing to the severity of the economic downturn due to coronavirus pandemic. The body also says that Nigeria has lost $570 million, 100,000 jobs, 3.7 million passengers, and more. For the President Association of Foreign Airlines Representatives in Nigeria, the losses occur because the industry operates as a chain.
We have so many other sub-sectors under this industry. The ground handling sector is there, so if the aircraft don't come, they are not going to handle the aircraft. Let's also take a look at the flight catering sector. That's another big industry.
For aviation in the country to get back on its feet, he calls for government intervention for the carriers as advocated by Airports Council International, International Civil Aviation Organization, and International Air Transport Association. He also wants the ease of doing business to be replicated in the country.
They need that help, even for little things like landing fee, parking fees, and a lot of charges.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought air travel to a standstill, with many airline fleets grounded and no visibility on when global travel restrictions will be eased. International Air Transport Association is calling for a 3-stage plan to bring the industry back alive, boost passenger confidence in flying, restore confidence of governments, and regain approvals from health authorities. Lillian Ezemak, TVC News, Lagos.
Our thanks to Lillian Ezemak for that report that went out earlier. And now back to our guest, aviation journalist, Mr. Chuks Iwelumo. Thank you for making time to join us, Chuks. I'm in studio alongside Asukwa James.
Chuks, how prepared do you think we are to reopen the international airports?
Yeah, the process of gradual resumption has actually commenced. The Presidential Task Force recently directed the agencies in the aviation industry to make sure that everything is in order to ensure the resumption of international flights. And I know they are not joking with it. They are taking everything seriously so that the resumption will take effect seamlessly. You remember that on the 8th of last month, the local domestic flight resumed. And as I speak now, about 14 airports have so far been opened for flights. And it's like a test case for the international flight operation. I was at the airport recently. I discovered that the airport is set for international flights, like the markings, protocols, COVID-19 protocol, everything is in place. I think they are good to go. They are ready, actually, to go.
If you notice, there are some countries, even some airlines are saying that even if we reopen today, that we'll still have to go through the COVID test. That is, passengers will have to go through COVID test. Did the FAN or the federal government, do you think they have like a box where people can take this test and maybe come back in 14 days or in 3 days to get the result? Is there any provision for that at the airports?
Yeah, I believe for now, 14 days is even too far for the result to come out.
What maybe 2 or 3 days or thereabouts.
Yes, 2 days, 2 days,
Yeah.
24 hours. Because 40 hours. What I'm saying is this: like US and Canada, they have already banned foreign nationals into their countries, which Nigeria is inclusive. If airlines like Emirates and others, now Qatar, they will request passengers to bring their test certificate for COVID-19. Yes, they will do that. Because what I expect the airport authority to do now is to liaise with the Presidential Task Committee to have a special testing unit at the airport. That means if we are to do that, passengers will now go to the airport 6 hours or 5 hours before their flight. And that result should be out 2, 3, 4 hours before your flight to enable you check-in. And you have to take your test certificate along with you. Because I know at your destination, you will be subjected to another screening after showing your certificate. So that is what I'm envisaging. And I hope they will do that, because flying is not going to be the same in the world again. The pandemic has come to stay until we are able to discover the vaccine for the pandemic. And if we discover the vaccine, it will look like what we are doing today with the yellow card vaccine too. You have to get your own card of COVID-19 when they have discovered the vaccine. I think that is the process, because for now, we are ready. But how ready are others? Because we should not rush because people have not been traveling and they want to open the international airports, we want to fly international flights. But we should consider the health of others and our own health too. If we are ready, is country B ready? That is another question. So people are eager to travel, we know.
Yes, in terms of money, how will that compulsory test, impact on airlines, foreign airlines? Because if you want to, if a passenger wants to travel, he's now compelled to go through that test. So, and so many people will not want to go through that, stress of saying they want to go and line up to. So how is that going to impact on their finances?
Yes, by the time they implement it, I know most airlines will include it into their tickets. You will say maybe they have increased airfare. In a way, they have built the passenger, the charges of the text of the COVID text into their ticket. Okay. I think that is what is going to be. The passenger may not even know that they are paying high because of this, but you will think it's free. It will not be free.
Okay, Chris, one moment, please, because we've just got a call from Reverend Dominic. Good morning, Reverend.
Yori, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good morning, Asoko.
Good morning.
Yori, please, I suggest we... Can you hear me?
Yes, go on.
I suggest we start the airport now. The reason is this. It's like an unknown journey, just like my immediate constituency. We started last week Sunday. Even most of our friends did not start. But we who started, had some things to adjust. We couldn't know how it could work.
Yeah.
But when we come to church on Sunday, there are things we could do better by next week Sunday. And if you didn't start, you wouldn't know how it works. So there's a lot of, like what you have said now, the testing and the testing. We must start to know how it tests. I travel a lot too. No pastor is about to invite you now in any nation. But it is when you start, you know how it works.
Indeed.
If you can give me time, let me comment on the last topic in 1 second.
So I really crave your indulgence, Reverend. We won't have the time, but thank you very, very much. Chooks, going back to something that you spoke about earlier, yes. You were earlier speaking about, for instance, you made the examples of the U.S. and Canada, and they had their own regulations. Did you say not accepting foreign nationals? So I wanted to ask if we are doing anything in that regard too, because there are a lot of Nigerians who are stuck abroad. I imagine they will be our first priority. But is there any word on, what the regulations, policies would be in relation to foreign nationals wanting to come into Nigeria because they have reason to be in Nigeria?
Foreign nationals, like you rightly pointed out, U.S. and Canada, there is this evacuation they are doing in line with what the federal government has set up. There's special evacuation flights. If they are ready to come, the national will register themselves where they are to come, where they are to meet, and there will be a flight that will take them down. But for commercial flights to Canada or U.S., I don't think it's feasible for now. Since our nation is involved, is among those that have been banned from coming into their country.
Okay, but we haven't done any such banning ourselves. It's like everybody can everybody can come in, Nigerians and non-Nigerians.
Exactly. There's nothing for now to that effect. It's like we are open to the world now.
Okay.
Just like the United Arab Emirates.
And that
those ones, I know their screening will be very, very tough.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any information on other sister African countries, whether our policy is similar to, their policy is similar to ours, that foreign nationals that have business in Niger, Chad, Kenya, Ghana, is it similar, or do you know of any country imposing different regulations?
I don't know, but like Kenya and Kenya, at least Kenya is ready to go into their country.
Okay.
Those ones are ready.
Okay.
Ethiopia too, because aviation is their mainstay. I know they are ready to take the world too.
Okay.
Just like what United Arab.
Sorry, let's hear from Dr. Mustafa in Ikene. Good morning, Dr. Mustafa.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm surprised how we are handling the whole thing. Presently, I'm in Nigeria. I live in U.S. And I've been stranded here since February. So, to me, what we are doing now is something we should have done.
Okay, you live in the U.S. You live in the U.S., but you're not a U.S. national.
I'm a U.S. national.
But were you not able to take advantage of the evacuation?
I just applied. I've applied twice. Okay. And I just applied.
Okay.
I'm a U.S. national. I'm a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Yes. I'm a U.S. citizen and also a Nigerian.
Of course.
The way we are handling this thing,
you never renounce Nigeria. You never renounce Nigeria.
There are so many Nigerians that are stranded there. I'm one of them.
Yes.
And as a technical person, it is wrong the way we are handling it. Now, the journalists are spoken very well. Things are in place. 6 hours is enough for everybody to just come in, take the test, or do anything, use the face mask. Even when you check the temperature, you should be able to detect that. Now, they are saying flights should not come in. Well, let's allow flights to go out. Those of us that want to leave Nigeria, our family are there, our job is there, things are there that we need to do.
Okay.
And if we look at it, we are really burning ourselves in Nigeria because our economy is bad. This thing is affecting us.
Okay. So in your case now, even though Nigeria is opening up its airspace, we have opened up, but you will not be able to fly to your home in the U.S. For now.
I've applied through the STEP program.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I've applied through the airline as well, and it's in cancelled twice. But the truth is, the federal government needs to speed up this thing.
All right.
Over 10,000 Nigerians are here.
But we've done what we can do. We are opening up.
But the receiving
countries have different policies.
Exactly.
You can't blame Nigeria.
My brother, I will blame us. You know why I will blame us? There are things we can do that can help us.
Okay. I see what you mean. Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. That here, Nigerians could come on, but well, the man did say he's Nigerian. He has dual citizenship.
Because I know that the US, the UK, they've been evacuating their nationals,
they have been
a very
exactly.
long time, and they keep doing that.
But they still are because, perhaps there are many more applicants than they are actually able to receive. Because as Dr. Mustafa just said, he has applied twice. So that's the way.
Chuks, if you are still with us, I was also looking at these foreign airlines. They've been grounded for like almost 5 months. So do you think the federal government, what do you think? Should the federal government be thinking of giving them like bailout, of some sort, or loan of some sort, for them to at least start, business again and maybe stay afloat?
But Chooks, one moment, please. Just before you go, let me bring in Ada, who is in Jos and has called in. Good morning, Ada.
Morning. It's a good idea to reopen because the airspace, because this pandemic has come to stay with us, and we have to have a way of living with it. But now my worry is this: there's so much job loss in this sector.
Yeah.
What is the government doing to give them some stimulus package and all that? I heard some of them, the pilots, they were all, screaming on the air and all that. Some of them have been sacked. Why can't there be some stimulus package and then they renegotiate too with the airliners and then, arrive at a kind of salary they will place them on until things are normalized. Or if not, we're going to have so much loss of jobs. It's really unfortunate. And this pandemic, let us take responsibility. It has come to stay, and it is for real. This idea of living in denial should stop.
Okay.
God bless Nigeria. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you very much, Ada. But that was a pretty unkind cut. I don't think we're living in denial. We're taking it as seriously as it deserves.
I think there are some people.
Okay, that was Ada's sense.
Yes.
That the generality of the public don't seem to be
like
encouraging.
Some people, it's business as usual.
Chooks, did you want to comment on Ada's, position?
Yes. She talked about to help the airlines.
Yes. That's right. Yes. The airlines, the pilots, the staff.
To help the airlines in the form of palliative. Mr. Yori, I'm surprised that aviation being the worst hit by COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government is yet to do something for the industry. It's so painful. It's so painful. Hundreds of thousands of jobs have been lost. Billions of naira has been lost. And nobody is saying anything about it.
Even though it is a global, even though it is a global situation.
It's a global thing. Yeah.
Pilots unfortunately, pilots are losing their jobs around the globe. Pilots are actually doing whatever they can. Some passenger pilots are going into cargo. All sorts of. It's a global situation. But what is your idea, following in Ada's trend, of what we might be able to do, perhaps as exemplified from what has been done in other countries for the aviation industry?
For the aviation industry, the government should come to the aid of the airlines by helping them. They need to be helped. The first speaker said, I listened to Nwokoma, the Association of Foreign Airlines of Nigeria, speaking, and he said, FAN can let go with parking fees and other taxes that they levy them.
Okay.
By so doing, you will at least relieve the airline of this burden, because you pay landing and parking fees always. If you consider them, you have done well for them, because 170 pilots were sacked 2 weeks ago. But thank God for the meeting held yesterday. AP's promised to recall the pilots that were sacked, while we are still waiting for that of Bristol.
Okay, maybe, I don't know, is it important when you talk about pilots being sacked, maybe pilots being, is it sacked or dropped?
With what we have, sacked, they use sacked.
Okay, they use sacked. I think Ayo is on the line. Let's say, good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Calling in from London, the UK. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Mr. Shuk.
Thank you.
I think with what the journalists have said earlier on, I think we've taken the right steps. But what we need to do is for the government to appoint approved centers for people to do their testing.
Okay.
Before taking flight at all. Because talking about 6 hours or something might cause some delay, considering the traffic in Lagos. So this should be done probably a day out taking off.
Thank you very much, Ayo. We've noted your observation. We've completely run out of time. So our thanks to Chuks Uwelumo and everybody else that contributed to this program. That's our program today. Azikwe and I say, please stay as safe as you can in these COVID-19 times. Join us tomorrow. We'll be here, God willing.